I can't hear you. Aaron Jameson, Chain Raider Disc Golf, and I would like to talk with you about these. If you play disc golf, you're all too familiar with the very unique sound that is this. When the disc hits the chains, there is no mistaking what you're hearing. And you know, it can be pretty loud. You know, maybe you're lucky enough to live in an area where you have acreage and your neighbors aren't too close. But if you do have close neighbors and maybe they are kind of get annoyed when they hear the sound of the chains rattling, you know, 11 o'clock at night, 12, 1 a.m., or how about this? Maybe it's winter, because it is, and you're like me and you really don't like the cold. You know, you can endure it, but you really don't feel like practicing your putting when it's a wind chill of like 20 degrees, or it's snowing. So you bring your chains into the house. But then, once again, you have this. They're loud. So, I got to thinking, how do we quiet these things down? So I went out today to the hardware store, and I grabbed me this, it was one piece, this foam tubing. It's 1 1/4 inch, and as you can see, it's got a nice sized hole in the middle of it. So, and I got some left over here. What did I do? Took the top of the chains off, pulled off the middle piece, and that slid right down in the middle. Okay? This thing works wonders if you're trying to quiet your chains. And that's what this video is about. Now, the cool thing about this, you don't have to do this. It already came cut. And all you do is slip it over this. Now this is where it gets tricky because, and I'm going to pull the camera closer and let you see this, but you have 2 rings here. Bottom one's fine. The top ring here is smaller in diameter. So you basically have to make sure the chains are pulled tight like this, so you can slip this down in between to where it's snug, and this fits in here perfectly. Now here's something to keep in mind as well. Maybe you want this to be a permanent fixture. I don't. I want to be able to take it off because honestly, I love that sound. But being in the house, or if I want to play late night, because you know, on the weekends, come on, I just want to quick slip this thing in and then be able to take it back off again. But if I wanted to be a permanent fixture, some ideas for you. These zip ties. And if you leave your chains outside, get these ones here. They are UV protected, but there's your zip tie. And they're black, so they'll blend right in with everything. And all you gotta do is just put maybe 3 on, just to secure it. I mean, it's gonna be secure anyway. It holds its form. It ain't going anywhere. It also has adhesive in here where it will stick, but I guarantee you that will not hold up after a while. Another idea for you to keep it held together, some Gorilla Tape. Just put a strip down it once you get it on. And better yet, if you can find it, and which is probably what I'm going to get, they make them Velcro straps where you just wrap it around and you Velcro it down. Put 3 of them on here and boom, there you go. But you don't even need to do that. That's if you might want to keep it a permanent fixture. This thing slides in here so easily and it comes off right away. And I will show you how to do it. And then you can hear how quiet it is. So here you can see the rings. You have the bottom ring, which is nice and wide. And then here you have the top ring. And when I was saying about keeping the chains pulled tight, if you can keep these chains tight as you're slipping that in, it's not going to create as much surface area. So you want to keep these chains pulled tight. You don't want them hanging down. You want them tight as you're trying to put it in. So let's slip this thing on. And this does take just a little bit of effort, but it doesn't take long. What you could probably do as well is maybe shave off some of this bottom so it does slide into here a lot easier. But like I said, it doesn't take much work. Just kind of work it down like that, pull the chains up, pull that ring up around it. Just keep pushing it down. And what I did too, when I cut this out, I left a little, I didn't cut it as long as the center tube. I gave it like a 1/4 inch on each side, so you wouldn't have any issues. So now you want to pull the chains up, all these. See, the backs weren't pulled tight. There we go. And down it goes. There you go. Pull all these out. All right, top's on. There you go. So there you go, that quick. It's in. Less than a minute. Now let's try it out. So you don't have that loud cha-ching, that loud ring. Now granted, you're gonna get some noise, there's chains here, but it doesn't have that really loud ring. One more time. So there you go. So there you have it. I call that the silencer, because it does silence the chains quite a bit, and pretty much less than a minute to put that on there. And this is what it is. It's once again, it's foam tube. I don't know what they use it for, but I know what I use it for. And I spent $3.99 on this, and there's plenty left. So share with a friend, or have one for backup. Now I mentioned about the bottom, that smaller ring. It just takes some effort. It's not hard. Just, pull it up, get it on, and it's snug. What I was thinking about doing is just taking a razor blade and just taking a little bit off of the bottom of this, so it just goes on quicker and easier. Okay, so there was a small issue once you put the foam padding in here. The top ring, it's a little too tight, so what it does is it actually, these chains, the inner chains, are too tight because it's leaving no room for this to flex. So as I stated, I'm going to shave down the bottom so this has some room to flex a little bit. I'm not even kidding. These chains get pretty tight when once you put that sleeve on here. And it actually, when the disc hits it, it just wants to flex it back out right away. So it needs a little bit of give. So I'm going to shave down that foam tubing so this has a little bit more room to move. So I mentioned how when you go to put this in, the rings at the bottom of the chains, there's a smaller one in diameter, and that was really snug on here. And the problem is the chains didn't have room to flex back and forth. So I had mentioned about shaving this down, and I did. I actually used this Dremel with a little sanding wheel on it. What I did was I put this down into the chains. The bottom chain sits right about here. Top chain sits right about in here. So I wanted to give a nice amount of area so it does have room to flex and move. So I took the Dremel, I marked it with a Sharpie. You see a little line there. And then I took the Dremel and just started shaving this all down. Now, if you don't have a Dremel, just go out and get some sandpaper, really fine grit. You don't want that big gnarly stuff. Get some fine stuff and just start sanding that down. Or you can even get a wood file. Go in the metal wood files and use that and sand it down. But what you're going to want to do, because it's going to have like flaking all over it when you get done, and it's not going to be, you know, hard. I took a hairdryer, put it on low heat, and actually as soon as I started going real slow over top of it, it actually started melting this foam, and now it's nice and hard, and it's not flaking off anymore. And now this actually fits right down in that smaller ring, comes right up around it. Boom, done. So that's a quick fix for the silencer. Yes, I kept this adhesive stuff on here because I didn't want it to stick together quite yet. Okay, so I recently shaved this down, and we're going to put this back on. Watch how much easier it is to do. Not only did shaving this down help it to fit in here better, but it also gave that ring more room to flex. So now it just slides right on in. That quick. Done. Just make sure you pull these links. You don't want them stuck down in like that. See how that's stuck down in? You want to make sure they're pulled up so they got room to flex around. So check all of them. We're good. There we go. And that is the silencer. And to get it back off, ready? Now keep in mind I'm doing it with one hand, but there, let's pop it off. Done. Now, you can go back to making plenty of noise with your chains. And like I stated, you're going to get the sound of the chains, but you're not going to get that loud crashing, ringing from the chains because especially if that's what you're hearing. So there you go. What do you think? We'll stop your pesky neighbors from complaining that you're playing at 2 o'clock in the morning. And, if you brought your chains into the house to get out of the weather, to escape the snow and this cold, come on spring. But if you did that, I don't have to worry about waking up the whole house when they hear the chains ringing out. So I hope this helps. Any questions, comments, whatever, get yourself a silencer. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll start making some cool looking ones. Some like customized ones. I don't know. Just an idea. Anything for the disc golf community. All right. Stay strong. Stay safe. Most of all, God bless. Chain Raider Disc Golf. I can't hear you.